Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we'll be diving into how JD Greear has a COVID Nazi church campus. So let's bring you up to speed on who JD Greear is quickly, because if you're new to the whole Big Eva scene, you might not know, and that is perfectly acceptable. I do not just want to speak to an audience that just understands these things. I also want to bring people up to speed if they are just getting into the subject matter, and I'm perfectly here to help bring you up to speed with that. I have no problems with that. So JD Greear is the outgoing president of the Southern Baptist Convention. He served 3 terms, ending this past summer. And he's a theological liberal on the major issues in the Southern Baptist Convention. Specifically, he is very soft on homosexuality. That's pretty well known. And he basically fueled the liberal takeover of the Southern Baptist Convention. So JD Greear, for all intents and purposes, is a bad dude. He's a bad dude. And he's definitely empowered many false teachers, and his governance of the Southern Baptist Convention is anything but above reproach. So with that said, it's also worth pointing out that JD Greear is a Branch Covidian. He basically canceled church for an entire calendar year last year in 2020. He closed down his church for the remainder of 2020. And of course, that's unacceptable. I think we've talked many times on this channel about how shutting down your church was a sinful decision. It ceded unnecessary and wicked power to the government that is not in their God-given domain, and is also just horrendous ecclesiology to say that we should be encouraging people to neglect the physical assembly of the saints. That is wicked, and that's what JD Greear's church did. And it definitely did not have a good impact on his community around him. With that said, it's worth pointing out that JD Greear operates a multi-campus model for his church, the Summit Church in North Carolina. This church is located in the Raleigh-Durham area. So let's just dive right in. But don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to the channel. That really helps with the magical YouTube algorithms, because they don't like floating content like this up to the top. So we got to work our way there. So with that said, let's dive right in. So this is the Summit Church. As you can see, they got about 9 locations here spread out. And just a quick note about North Carolina, big urban sprawl state, because you can see like this is all connected basically as far as like cities go. And the specific campus we'll be talking about today is downtown Durham, which again tells you on the website, and that's pretty convenient of them. A lot of churches don't have great websites, but give credit where credit is due. Summit Church, lets you know that you gotta show your papers in order to attend this campus. And why is that the case? Why is that the case? Why is it the fact that they have a medical apartheid campus where you either have to be vaccinated or have to have a negative test? That's unbiblical requirement, by the way. Mask, also an unbiblical requirement. By the way, you are putting a barrier on someone receiving the ordinances of the church. You are putting a barrier on someone participating in collective and corporate worship of our God. This is unbiblical, and it's untenable before a righteous God to defend this. So with that said, why is this campus special in this regard? And that answer is actually pretty easy. The reason for that is because they don't own the building. This is a different venue. This is not a venue that JD Greear's church owns. It's a venue that they rent. So as you can see, you can rent out the Carolina Theater in Durham, North Carolina. And there's 4 different options. The highest option is $1,600. That's a starting rate and has about 1,000 seats. Or you can go down for half that to 226 seats for $500. I just totally messed up fractions there, but hope you will forgive that. Or you can have 49 seats for $250. And of course, at these other options, you're just staring at a screen. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that find that acceptable for a church to do, but obviously, come on, man. Come on. I don't get the appeal of watching someone preach on a screen at a church. But that's me. That's just me. So they don't own this building. And because they don't own this building, they have to not only rent at an exorbitant amount of money, because this is a pretty expensive rate per week for a church. That's just pretty luxurious. This is probably the building that they use. I don't fully know. But obviously they're not going to go for the 50-seater. That's just not worth it from a financial perspective. And, this is a policy they put on all their guests. It's not unique to Summit Church. JD Greear is not going above the top rope to impose COVID Nazism on people. This is, they claim that the city of Durham requires masks, and I don't know if that's true or not, because there's another location in Durham, and maybe there's a whole city limits thing, but JD Greear's other church in Durham does not require masks. That's worth noting. So you either have to show your papers or you can get tested. And they have testing on site, which still doesn't make this biblical. And you got to ask yourself, is this even worth it at this point to impose such unbiblical requirements in order to attend a church service and paying to do this as well? Like, you can't find another venue to do this at. And again, how biblical is it to cede such power to a corporation that, on your congregants? You're letting a corporation dictate ecclesiastical practices on your congregation. And that's just biblically unacceptable, in my opinion, because they don't own the building and therefore they don't have the power to make these decisions. So that's it. And apparently this place is just, if you would rather get a refund than deal with these policies, you got to have a positive test, apparently. So that's pretty stupid. But I want to point out that there are musicians, there are comedians that refuse to play in such places like this. I don't want to name too many names because I don't go to concerts much these days because I have kids. But there are a ton of artists right now that aren't doing this whole vaccine passport thing. They aren't doing COVID Nazism. They aren't, the show me your papers in order to attend them. They're not doing that. And the fact is, they have more integrity than JD Greear does. And that is the major issue here. A comedian like Dave Landau has more integrity than JD Greear when it comes to not putting barriers on, in JD Greear's case, his fans. He's not putting barriers on his fans or followers. Because again, his church is incredibly weak on every major issue. That means homosexuality. That also means critical race theory because he's woke. I don't care if Neil Shenvi goes to his church. As long as he does, he's not super credible on this issue. Sorry if you're new to this whole Big Eva thing that I just dropped Neil Shenvi on you. With that said, it's just embarrassing that comedians and country music artists have more integrity than JD Greear does on this issue. That is not a corporation worth supporting by renting out their facility so they can impose these crap COVID Nazi mandates on you. Show me your papers in order to attend JD Greear's live screened church service. That's pretty stupid. And again, JD Greear, just bad dude all around. I think this is just further evidence. And I don't have that much more to say about this issue, so I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know what you think about what I think. My name's Ray again, and this is the Evangelical Dark Web. And if you like this kind of content, also subscribe to the channel, and also check out evangelicaldarkweb.org. And there's articles on there nearly every day, and not all of them make the video cut, and there's good content there, so I'd recommend checking that out. And if you really like the Evangelical Dark Web, you can support us over at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join. Become a member there and get membership perks. And that's all I got to say about that. My name is Ray. Again, have a blessed day, and I will catch you on the next one.